Valentines, and welcome to Club Firefly, where we read, create, and you shine when you share your creations with us. I'm Keisha, and today we are reading Love Will Turn You Around, written by Mary Munson, illustrated by Kate Talbot. Wow, look at all those hearts. He doesn't look too happy though. Hart woke up feeling not quite right. Something was very wrong, for sure. Hart wiggled and waggled his way to his friends. "Wanna rock those curves and roll with us?" asked Circle. Well, Hart tried to roll with the circles, but look, he's not round. What's going to happen? Thump. Well, that didn't work. Triangle tipped over to help. "Trust your tip and twirl with us." Hart tried to twirl with the triangles, but look, he's not pointy. Thunk. That didn't work either. Square slid in. "Your shape is strong and sturdy. Stack up with us, Hart." Zink. Zank. Zunk. But Hart only sunk. Look, he doesn't have flat sides like the square. Hart didn't feel strong like the squares. Hart wasn't curvy like the circles. Hart only had one tip, not three like the triangles. "I am all wrong," said Hart. "We can help you get back into shape," said Hart's friends. "The shapes bent this way, and the shapes all bent that way." But Hart just sat and watched. First, Square tried to stretch Hart into shape. Square tugged and tugged, but only managed to overstretch into a rectangle. Splat. "Oh no, Hart, let me help you," said Triangle. Did Triangle help? Oof! That didn't work either. Then Circle tried to roll Hart up, but squish. "No, I'm smushed," said Hart. Hart watched Star dangling in the air. "Wow, you really twinkle," said Hart. "Thanks," replied Star. "What makes you twinkle?" Hart thought and thought. He did not feel twinkly when he woke up. He did not feel twinkly when he tried to roll with the circles, twirl with the triangles, or stack with the squares. It was love that made Hart feel twinkly, wholeheartedly twinkly. This gave Hart an idea. He gathered his friends together to try again. Oh, they're all stacking on the seesaw. Wobbly. Oh boy, what is Star doing? Wobbly. Wobbly. Oh, whoa. Hart was up. Hart was pumped. "Now this feels right," said Hart. "My frown is turned upside down." "Do you feel like a star?" asked Star. "No, but I do feel like myself again," said Hart. The shapes celebrated and began to march off together when... Whoa. Thud. It's a new friend, huh? "Are you okay?" asked Hart. "No, I was trying to be like Star. I want to twinkle like diamond in the sky." "But you are not Star," said Hart. "And you are not a diamond either. You are a rhombus!" All the shapes cheered. "That doesn't sound right," said Rhombus. "I know exactly how you feel," said Hart. "And I know just what to do." Hart tiptoed over to Rhombus, curled his two curves into a hug, and gave a nice, strong squeeze. Just like that, love turned things around. And that's the end, friends. Have you ever felt like you didn't really fit in or belong with your friends? Well, I love that this story teaches us that each of us is special just the way we are. And we feel best when we share our love with our friends. Today, we're going to create a project all about love. Are you all ready to make some hearts? Let's create. For this project, you will need some acrylic paints. You'll need some paper that's cut into squares. I have two types of paper here. One is copy paper, that's a thin paper, and the other is a thicker paper that we're going to paint on. So you'll need a painting paper and then some thin paper to create a stencil with. We are going to be dragging our paint, so you will need a card. It could be a credit card, it could be a gift card. This is just an old Target gift card I have, but we're going to be dragging our paint, and so you'll need something that's kind of stiff and plasticky for that. I've also got some plastic knives. This is to help me get my paint out of containers. If you've got squeeze bottles, you won't need these, but if you don't, something like a plastic knife will really help. And then I've got some scissors and finally a pencil. These paper towels are just for cleaning off my knives and my card if I need it. You can press pause now if you want to go grab your supplies. All right, friends, so if you have never used a dragging paint technique where you drag your paints through with a card, you are in for a real treat. We are going to be creating these painted backgrounds that then we will cut out our heart shape out of to create some very cool positive and negative space hearts. So we'll get that in a second, but let's start with our painting. I have pulled out these colors that I want to use for this larger square, and then I'm going to do a second smaller square with these colors here. And what you want to do is just open up your paints and then place a small dot of paint across the top edge of your paper. Now, again, if you had the squeeze bottles, you could just squeeze a little bit out. I don't have those, so I am using a knife to get out a small amount because you don't need that much paint. That's all you really need. And so I am just putting a little bit right at the top, and I'm kind of spacing my colors out. Now, I do think that having white in the mix really helps. It adds a nice contrast and it lets the colors mix together a little bit. So I think if you add some white to your palette, it will make your design look even cooler. But I've got some purple here that I'm going to put down next to my white. And it doesn't have to be evenly spaced. You can decide if you don't want purple all over, you could just do a little bit of purple. So you decide what colors you want to use and where you want to place them on your paper. I've got some red. I'll do a little red there. And this one are kind of more Valentine-y colors with the pinks and the blues and the purples. But if you wanted to use greens and oranges, you know, why not? You can use whatever colors you want to. But space them pretty close together so that the colors touch. And that's why I'm using a different knife for each color, because when I put it down, it kind of mixes a little bit, and I don't want to muddy my paints coming out of the jar. All right, so maybe I'll put just a touch more of the pink over on this side. And it's okay if they don't line up all together perfectly. That's okay too. All right, so this is how easy it is, friends. I've got my colors all across the top. Here's where the magic happens. You're gonna take your card and you're gonna drag it through. Now, when you do that, make sure that the angle of your card is not straight up and down like this, but you want it to be a little bit lower to your paper. So I'll just show you a side view. If I was dragging, you would want it to look kind of like that from the side angle. So about a 45-degree angle. It's not gonna be up high like this. It's gonna be kind of low to the table. And you apply pressure and drag. Are you ready for this magic? All right, check it out. Woo! It's like instant beauty. And you just drag your colors through. All right. Now I think it helps to go through a second time and kind of blend them a little bit. So now I'm going to come back over top and re-blend my colors. If you do it too much, then it gets a little bit muddy. So I would say like 2 drags through and that's it. Isn't that beautiful? All right, maybe I want the touch more up in this corner. There we go. Okay, that is gorgeous. So I've got my first one done and you can see how the colors just blended together. That is beautiful. This one's ready to dry, okay? So I've got some newspaper on the floor over here. So I'm gonna plop that one down. And now I'm gonna do my smaller piece. Now my smaller one, I wanna use some lighter colors. So because this paper is so tiny, I won't need as much of the color, but I'm still gonna include white. And the thing is, this is so easy and fast. It's like you could do this all day and have so many of these. If you wanted to create Valentines this way, you certainly could do that. Whatever you want to use them for. Okay, are we ready? Oh, I've got to clean off my card. So this is where you need your paper towel. If you're doing multiple ones, you got to get all the old paint color off of there so that it doesn't mix in with the new. And I will use the opposite side too. Okay, here we go. Woo! Beautiful. All right, now second drag through, we'll mix the colors a little bit more. There we go. And that's it. I've done my second drag painting. Boom. All right, so I'm gonna let this one dry as well. And then once they are dry, we will be able to cut our heart shape out of them and turn them into a card or whatever you might want to use them for. So I'm going to clean up my area here. I've got some dry ones that I will work with to show you the next step. All right, I'm back and I've got my area cleaned up, got rid of all that newspaper, and here are my dry paintings. Look at how beautiful that is. And the acrylic paint gives it kind of like a shiny finish. You know, it's got that plasticky finish to it. So this is just a really beautiful painting. If you wanted to just hang it up like this, you certainly could. But we are going to turn ours into hearts for Valentine's Day. And so we are first going to be creating a heart stencil with this just copy paper. All right, so I have one that's about the size of my small painting and one that's the size of my big painting. And I'm gonna use this to make a heart. Now you all have probably done this before where you folded your paper in half, right? To make a symmetrical heart shape. So that's exactly what you're gonna do. Fold that paper in half and then you're gonna draw half of the heart. Now you have to think about how big you want your heart to be and kind of, you know, what shape you want it to be. Sometimes when you draw a heart, it's like a little bit, you know, of a fatter heart or a more narrow heart. So you have to decide the shape that you want it to be. But once you have that sketched out, I always like to open up my paper just so I can kind of visualize what the heart shape will be. And if I'm happy with it, that kind of helps me decide, do I want to make this part a little wider or come out more? So opening my paper helps me kind of see what it's going to look like once I cut it out. But once you've got your sketch that you're happy with, then you fold your paper, right? And you're going to cut it. Now cut it this very carefully because this is going to be the shape of our heart for our Valentine. So I'm taking my time and cutting right on the line. Okay, so let's see how our heart shape turned out. Beautiful. So you can see how that would look. Oh, I love that. Love it. So So now on the back of my paper, of my painted paper, I'm going to trace out my stencil shape. And you can use the positive or the negative space to do that. Now, what do I mean by positive and negative space? Well, the positive space is the shape itself. This is the heart, right? That is a positive space. The negative space is also a heart shape, but it's like not there. You see how I can stick my hand through that? That's called the negative space, but it also makes that heart shape. So I'm going to use my negative space stencil because it lets me line it up with all of my edges here. And I'm going to trace out the heart shape onto my paper with my pencil. And that way it will be centered in the square. All right, so I'm using this paper I just cut as my stencil to trace my heart shape. And this step can be a little bit tricky, so you can get someone to help you hold your paper down, or you could even tape it down if you wanted to. All right, so I've got my heart shape there on the back of my painted paper. Now, I want to cut this in a way where I have two hearts, a positive space one and a negative space one. So I can't just poke through this one, otherwise I'll have a hole in my heart there. So I'm going to cut a line right here that then when I glue this back together, you won't really be able to notice. So I'm just going to go straight up here, and then I'm really going to be very careful when I cut this out because I want it to be a very clean cut. So I have two hearts that I can use. So take your time on this step, cutting out this heart shape from your painted paper. I'm going very slowly. I'll speed this part up for the video, but know that I went very slowly when I cut it. Okay, are you all ready to see? Let's flip them over. Ta-da! All right, I've got two hearts now. Look at that. I've got my negative space heart and my positive space heart. And so you can mount these onto a paper, or you could make a little card out of them. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? So I'm going to mount that onto a white paper there, and then let's see how it looks with the negative space one. Same thing. Now for this one, you could even write Happy Valentine's Day or love or something in the middle, and that would be beautiful. Ooh, I kind of like that idea. Like a nice cursive love. I think I'm going to try that with this one. And then, if you've got a smaller one, like this one, you might turn that into like a little card. So that's what I'm going to do with this one. I'm going to turn this one into a card, and you can see how I do that. Same process, right? I want to fold this in half to create my stencil, my heart-shaped stencil. You all remember the steps? Okay, and trace it out. Shape. All right, I'll cut this one out. Beautiful. That's my positive space, and this is my negative space heart. Now I have folded another piece of paper here, so I can make this into an actual little Valentine card, and you could glue on the negative space one. Ooh, beautiful. Or you could glue on the positive space, and you can have a beautiful card. You could even, if you wanted to, you could put one on the front and one on the back. And wouldn't that be a lovely Valentine? You'd have the positive and the negative space heart in your card. So just play around with these. I'm gonna play around with mine and glue some together, and then I'll show you what I come up with. All right. Okay, here's what I've come up with. I really enjoyed this process. I've got my painted hearts that I've cut out, and look what I did with this one. I wrote love in the middle of that one, and I just mounted it to this bigger white paper so it had a little border. Now, I did use tacky glue for gluing things down because it's a heavier paper and it's got the paint, so it really needed it to kind of stick. But can you even tell where I cut it? Nope, I did such a good cutting job that there's a little seam there and you can't even tell. Now this one, I added some string and I'm gonna hang that one up. Isn't that adorable? Okay, here's the smaller ones that I've turned into some cards. I used the positive space on this one to make a cute little card. These are perfect for Valentine's Day. I used the negative space on that one. And check out what I did with this green one. Remember the green and yellow one we made? So I took my stencil from my hearts that I had this bigger one, right? And then I just cut another one out of the middle of that. So then I had 3 hearts. And I used the negative space and the positive space on the front. And guess what I did with the in-between? I put it on the back. So these are just beautiful, sellable. Like I would buy these, but I don't have to because I've already made them. And you can do the same thing. I can't wait to see what you do with your hearts. Happy Valentine's Day. Well, I just loved making those Valentine hearts with you, and I can't wait to see your hearts. You can share them with me on our Facebook page at Club Firefly Kids, and remember to join the club by liking and subscribing to our channel. Until next time, keep reading, keep creating, and keep on shining.
Spread your wings, shine your light. Club Firefly, spread your wings, shine your light.